Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're uncovering a massive, invisible bill that is quietly draining your future. Seriously, every single month, millions of people pay this staggering bill that never actually shows up in the mail. You won't find it tucked between your utility statements or your streaming subscriptions. There's no due date, no fancy company logo at the top. Yet, it drains way more of their future wealth than rent, taxes, or groceries ever will. What is it? It's the absolute crushing cost of looking richer than you actually are. And honestly, the most mind-blowing part of the whole thing, the audience you are paying it for isn't even really watching.
So we usually just assume that looking rich and being rich are basically the exact same thing, right? But it turns out, if you stretch it out over enough years, they're actually complete opposites. They pull aggressively against each other. And the problem is, almost nobody stops to actually run the real numbers until it's far too late to change the outcome. So today, let's unpack those numbers together and see what's really going on behind the scenes.
All right, let's get into it. Section 1, the tale of two scoreboards.
To really wrap our heads around this concept, let's follow the diverging paths of two 30-year-olds. We've got Sean and we've got Marcus. On paper, exact same guys. They both make $80,000 a year, live in the same exact city, have the same job title, and they both start out with exactly $10,000 in the bank. Now, Sean, he wants to be seen as a guy who made it. He immediately leases a $55,000 SUV, and he's wearing clothes with logos so big they basically double his billboards. He's always grabbing the check at dinner, calling it an investment in his image. Marcus, meanwhile, is playing a completely different game. He wants the actual money, not the mirror. He keeps his paid-off 10-year-old sedan, wears plain clothes, and rocks an older phone. Now, anyone in the room would bet on Sean being the wealthy one, and every single one of them would be completely wrong. $20,000. Literally 20 grand. That is the staggering amount Sean torches every single year just on appearances. I mean, think about what you could do with an extra 20 grand a year. Between the SUV lease, the premium gas, a $300 a month logo wardrobe, a pricier apartment just to have a fancy marble lobby, and constantly grabbing those dinner checks, Sean is spending this money purely to be witnessed. Marcus, on the other hand, spends almost none of it. His car costs him maybe $1,800 a year, all in. He takes the exact money Sean is burning on appearances, and he quietly moves it right into a low-cost index fund.
And this is where the brutal math really hits you. By the end of year 3, the hidden scoreboard finally lights up. Sean has a super flashy life, sure, but because something is always coming up to drain his checking account, he only has about $4,000 actually saved. Marcus has a much plainer life, but he's got roughly $70,000 invested, and it is climbing fast. It's the exact same income, the exact same 3 years, but an invisible $66,000 gap opens up that nobody on the outside could possibly guess.
Which brings us to Section 2, the hidden tax of signaling.
This is a really dangerous trap because the price tag on luxury items, that's never the real price you pay. Looking rich comes with a stack of recurring charges that hit your account for the rest of your life. Things engineered to signal wealth lose value the absolute second you buy them. Think about a luxury watch. A $50,000 watch tells time exactly as well as a $20 watch. Actually, you probably have to wind the expensive one yourself. That massive $49,980 difference, economists call that a flare tax. You are basically firing a flare up into the sky to signal to the tribe that you have resources to burn. You're paying a huge premium to literally move backward financially.
And honestly, it gets even sneakier. It usually disguises itself as just having good taste. We've all felt this, right? One single nice purchase quietly demands a dozen more just to match it. You buy a nice new couch, but suddenly your old rug looks a little, tired, so the rug goes. Then the curtains. Upgrading your car makes your perfectly good apartment feel incredibly small. One purchase resets your baseline, which proves that buying symbols of wealth essentially forces you into this chain reaction of unnecessary spending. Now, here's a deeply hidden cost that honestly blew my mind when I first read about it. When you look like you have money, you turn into a literal destination for everyone trying to get some. Security researchers call them whaling scams. People who broadcast their wealth are dramatically more likely to be targeted for fraud and identity theft. Looking ordinary isn't just cheaper, it is literal armor. Nobody hunts you for your hidden bank balance. They hunt you for the shiny object parked in your driveway or posted on your social feed. Let's fast forward to year 10. Both guys got promoted, both are pulling in 110 grand now, but lifestyle creep has completely swallowed Sean's promotions whole. This is the ultimate wealth killer. Every single time Sean's income climbed, his image climbed right along with it to match, so he only holds about $25,000 to his name. The thrill of each upgrade faded quickly, so he just kept sprinting to stand still. Marcus, however, decided no stranger's approval was worth a monthly payment. His hidden scoreboard has quietly accumulated almost $300,000. And right here is where the math gets genuinely exciting. $29,000? That number is the absolute magic of compounding at work. Marcus's invisible money isn't just sitting there in some dusty vault. It acts like a silent second income, earning him roughly $29,000 a year while he literally sleeps. Meanwhile, Sean's visible money, the luxury SUV, the designer watch, earns him absolutely nothing and just continually bills him to keep it all polished and insured. One man owns things that pay him. The other owns things that bill him.
Moving on to Section 3, the real face of wealth.
Now, if Sean and Marcus sound like made-up characters in a fairy tale, let's look at decades of hard data that completely embarrass our assumptions about what success actually looks like. Researchers spent decades studying actual wealth for the famous book, The Millionaire Next Door, and they found this striking statistical reality. The wealthiest people in society are the absolute least likely to physically look like it. Real millionaires figured out a long time ago that looking rich and actually being rich forces a choice, and they decisively chose being rich.
This data completely flips the script on everything we're fed on social media. Get this, the typical millionaire pays around $31,000 for a car. The vast majority of people earning $250,000 a year, they drive Hondas, Toyotas, and Fords. Meanwhile, the people most likely to be financing luxury vehicles are actually the ones earning the least, stretching themselves completely thin just for the badge on the steering wheel. The person on your street with the highest net worth is statistically driving the most ordinary car. Wild, right? So if we track Marcus over 20 years, we see him quietly cross that $1 million net worth mark. No grand announcement. He's still driving a sensible car. He turned his invisibility into an incredible asset. Nobody asks the guy in the old sedan for a loan. No contractor inflates his quote for home repairs just because of his zip code. Sean, 20 years in, well, he won every room he ever walked into, but he lost the only game that was ever really keeping score. Now let's pause for a second, because there is some really important nuance here. Money is a tool. It's meant to be used for things like buying back your time or creating amazing memories with your family. Looking modest while you actively build wealth is absolute freedom. But hoarding money because spending genuinely frightens you, that's just a nicer looking cage. And sure, looking totally unkempt can absolutely cost you professional opportunities. But remember the core truth here. The true enemy was never spending. The true enemy is simply spending just to be seen. So how do we fix it? Section 4, 5 Steps to Freedom. Okay, how do we practically apply all this logic and actually escape that invisible bill? Just follow these 5 precise steps and you change the game entirely. Step 1, cut the cord between your income and your identity. Remember, a raise is not permission to become a more expensive person. Step 2, pay yourself first automatically. Build your month around your investments, not your leftovers. Step 3, use things until they actually die. Measure success by cost per use, not by trends. Step 4 is crucial. Decide what enough looks like in advance, so the goalpost finally stops moving on you. And step 5, guard your anonymity like the asset it is. Doing all this lets you embrace the most expensive freedom there is, the freedom to stop performing for a crowd.
The real trap here is handing the remote control of your spending over to strangers you're never even going to know. I want to leave you with this really provocative thought that completely reframes how we view status symbols. The next time you admire someone's wildly expensive car at a stoplight, ask yourself one simple question. Are you looking at their wealth? Are you looking at the exact reason they don't have any? Thank you so much for exploring this with me today in this explainer. I really hope this sparks a completely new way you approach your own hidden scoreboard. Catch you next time.